Hey guys, I'm back with, oh my god, I gotta work on these intros. This is 210East and I'm back with episode 2 of Modern Love. Let's get right into this. This episode stars Dev Patel, Catherine Keener, and Eric Jensen. Don't know his work, but he appeared, he's been in a bunch of stuff. Also, my boy Andy Garcia, who I haven't seen since he was telling George Clooney to get out of his casino. Just like episode 1, we are still under the direction and writing of John Carney, just FYI. And we are also still in New York City, which I'm guessing is going to be the case for every episode. Alright, so this time around the story is about a young CEO of a dating app, played by Dev Patel, who is being interviewed for a magazine by a journalist played by Catherine Keener. She asks him if he's ever been in love, and she's like, I don't have to print it. And he's like, what? And she's like, the story that's written all over your face. Okay, so he tells her his story of how he fell in love when he met this girl at a job interview at what I'm presuming is for some tech startup company. You know, those ones with the cool offices that are cool and have cool furniture, and it's so casual and laid back. It's so hip and cool. It's not like other offices. So they talk, and he ends up giving up his chance to get the job just so he can see her again after her interview. And they go on a date to the zoo. I think it's the Bronx Zoo. Not positive, but I'm pretty sure. And they get to know each other, and you'll never believe this, but it turns out they are both just so quirky. So they start dating, it's all great, then 6 months later she cheats on him with her old boyfriend, or it's an ex-boyfriend, sorry, but it's like an old flame. Dev Patel's like, love is trust, and that's the only currency, and you broke it. And she's like, no, that's not what love is. I'm quirky. And he leaves, and they're done. He's depressed, but pours all his energy into his work and becomes successful. The app is successful. And then he sees her on the street one day for just a moment, and he's like, oh my god, she's the one. So then Catherine Keener is like, damn, that's crazy, but you should tell her how you feel and re-explore that love, that spark you had. And Dev Patel's like, how? Why? Why do you say that? She's like, well, let me tell you my story. And then we go into her flashback where she meets this guy in Europe when she was young. They were supposed to meet in Paris, but she got stood up. Then she runs into him at a book signing 15 years later, and it turns out he's Andy Garcia. Holy shit. And he's like, I still love you, but they both have families now, and Catherine Keener is haunted by this past lost love, which is why she is saying Dev shouldn't let his past lost love go untested, I think is the word she uses. There's a nice shot of her and her husband with good framing. Yay, nice shot. So they have their own lives now, they're all settled down, but fuck it, they spend time together anyways, and they fall back in love. And it ends in her ending things with her husband and him going back to his wife and saying, you know what, I want to work on this, let's work this out. So that sucks. So then Dev Patel's like, damn, that's crazy. And then they're like, all right, bye. So we cut to Dev Patel's ex-girlfriend that he's like still crazy about, and she reads the article Catherine Keener wrote about Dev Patel, and of course she published the bit about his love story and about her, and she's like, oh my god. She dumps the carbon copy, harmless, bland white guy she was dating, and she goes running back to Dev Patel. They meet up at the zoo again where they went on their first date, and they kiss, and it's all Gucci. Okay, so now that we've covered the plot, let's get into my thoughts and analysis. So once again, we're seeing this older person playing a part in a younger person's love life. Not sure if that's going to continue, but it was a kind of parallel to the first episode. In the first episode, there's Guzmin, and the second, it's Catherine Keener's character. And they both have professions that seem to be sort of part of New York City, part of the life and culture there. Although the whole story within a story setup has been done a million times, I wasn't mad at it. I mean, let's be honest, I'm 2 episodes in and there have been cliches aplenty, but that'll happen with this kind of source material and the premise itself, which is modern love in New York City. I mean, what could be a more fertile ground for cliches and overused tropes? But nonetheless, I thought Dev Patel was fine. He's obviously an amazing actor, but this role barely made him break a sweat. Same with Catherine Keener. To be fair, these are short episodes, so there isn't much time to make these characters that deep and fleshed out. But yeah, they did their jobs, and they did it well. So going off my hypothesis last episode about New York City being a kind of character itself, I'd say in this episode it's used more as a symbolic space, and isn't directly referred to as a character like it was by Guzmin in the first episode. But I think in episode 2, the association is still close enough to keep this motif beef alive. The characters move through these spaces of New York City as they interact and get to know each other. When Dev Patel and Emma is the character's name. They go on their first date to the Bronx Zoo, at least I think it is, where they exchange ideas about love and relationships, and it's all done within this space of New York, or at least the 5 boroughs. It's locations that you think of when you go to New York City, right? The major attractions. Also, when Dev Patel's story or his flashback ends, the audience is shown that him and Catherine Keener are now in Central Park, which is where they went so he could tell his story, I guess. Again, this is another location, another space synonymous with New York City, the space where love and life can be discussed and shared. Also, of course, when Dev Patel and Emma meet back in the zoo at the end, it's similar to Guzmeen and Maggie and her daughter all going to the Museum of Natural History, a location revisited. There really is this magic to New York City of chance encounters, and now I'm speaking from actual experience since I kind of half grew up there as a kid. And this is shown well within this episode. There is that moment when Dev sees Emma again in the street and he realizes he still loves her. And it's these little moments that anyone from New York can relate to. Maybe not in the exact context of these characters, but thinking you saw someone you know or used to know or meeting someone new. It's funny how this moment Dev experiences is being told as part of a story, which is part of its own extended moment of his meeting and interacting with this journalist, which ends really abruptly. And it's this whole New York moment vibe of meeting someone, having a intimate interaction with them, and then never seeing them again. Which, by the way, now that I think of it, has kind of a third layer, because this episode is also just a moment in itself in this show, which is an anthology format, and us as the audience are only given these moments, these stories, and these characters for only one episode each, before we move on to the next story, and holy shit, I'm on a roll here. So this episode was cool. I still wasn't blown away by any means. I probably liked it a little more than the first episode, but not by much. In this case, there was a lot more diegetic conversation and exploration of what love is through the characters' dialogue. There is a lot of discussion by the characters about what love is and its many different forms and uses. This is important stuff because, yeah, in life we all have different opinions on what true love is and what the rules and conditions of it are. Also, I'm 2 episodes in now, and so far we've gotten pretty happy endings to both of them. I'm interested to see if we will get any sad, melancholy, or bittersweet endings in any of the upcoming episodes. But anyways, that's it for this reaction and off-the-cuff review. If you're enjoying this series, be sure to leave a like and a comment, and if you're enjoying the content in general, be sure to subscribe. This is TwoTenEast, and I'll see you over at episode 3.